we tracked down Ken Carpenter. He's a very busy man during the afternoons. He's got lines of kids, even adults, waiting to get their caricatures. And we're going to talk a little bit about his amazing career here at Beaver Creek. And Ken, wow, I mean, you've been here as long as I can remember. Do you remember when you started?
Well, people ask me this sometimes, and I say, well, I started when Grover Cleveland was president, I think. But I looked this up recently, and I began up here when the Villar Center and the ice rink was being constructed.
Yes.
And it was a very controlled construction site. And they brought me and others in to be entertainment.
Yes.
And it was just to be for the summer. And I remember afterwards I told the powers that be that in those 2.5 months I went through something like 700 or 900 pieces of paper. And so we rolled it into the wintertime, and at that point I was at 5 hotels and so forth, and a summer led to a winter, to a summer, to a winter, to a summer. To a winter.
Oh, I know.
It's been a great experience up here working with Beaver Creek and doing what I do.
Yeah, wow. So since the Villar was being built, and that was, right around 97, 98, when it was opening and everything. So
I was a teenager back then.
yes, of course you were. All right, perfect. But you've probably seen families grow up and now bringing their kids, and you've seen the generations.
Yeah, it first happened about 6 summers ago, and I was set up, and it was kind of slow. And this young man in his 20s strolls by with his 3 or 4-year-old daughter in his arms, and he says, "Could you draw my daughter?" And I said, "Well, sure." So he sits down, and then he drops the big one on me. He said, "You drew me when I was 14," and they're like,
Don't you remember?
Yeah, and so that has increased multiple times, especially this winter. This winter was my first time back since COVID.
Yes.
And there must have been like 24 people coming up over the winter and saying, "You drew us, blah, blah." And I don't remember names, but I remember faces.
Yes.
And just a couple weeks ago, actually a week ago this Tuesday, this really nice gentleman comes by with his wife and sits down, and I remembered his face. And he told me he was a policeman in Chicago, and he remembered. He told me that his father was a policeman, and he was like, "You remembered!" Like, oh, so it's really kind of expanded into sort of a family experience, which is really cool.
Well, it is really cool, and something about just getting it's not your picture taken; it's someone else figuring out who you are. Okay, so we're just showing some of his work that he's already done. So this is just an example.
Yeah.
Is this anyone in particular?
Well, no, this is not anyone in particular. Although on this one, what I often do is if I get here early, I'll make up a sample, right?
Okay.
And so I'll take that man's nose and this person's eyes and this person's hair, and I'll make this. This is a composite of like 4 or 5 people, and then I added the music theme just because I'm a musician.
Yeah.
But funny story with this kind of thing. I used to do a convention in Denver many years ago. It was a large equipment like plows and stuff like that, and I was there for 3 or 4 years. And I got there early, and I drew something like this, and it was on my easel. And these 2 guys come along, and they say, "That's Bill!" So out of 400 people that were at this convention, they go find Bill. He comes back, and I give him the picture. Say, "Here you go."
I guess it's you.
That's you.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. And how do you start your process? Like we were watching him the other day when he had all the line of kids, and some of the kids were like, he starts with the eyes first. Is that true? Do you start with the eyes?
Yeah, I thought about this morning, and I remember I had a great aunt, Tante Fitzy in Austria, and she was an artist, and she said, you always want to work from the inside out and the foreground to the background.
Mm-hmm.
So because you can't put in afterwards, kind of thing. So that's what I do. So I go start with the eyes, and I expand it out, and I keep this empty until I know what theme I'm going to use, and then I add it by layers. And another thing that's really interesting is I go and do all the line work first, and the shading. It's incredible how important that is, because say I'm drawing somebody and their family's behind me, and say, "Oh, man, look, that's that's mom or something, whatever it is, and then you go in with the shading, and so many characters come out. Dimples, dark eyes. I mean, it's quite a process. And when I was a kid, I saw somebody do this, and I was just like,
That got you hooked.
how did you do that? I
Yeah.
mean, it's so uh, it's it's a real evolving experience
It
from
definitely
person to
is.
person.
Well, how
So
did you learn how to do it then?
I've been drawing. I tell some people I've been drawing since I was in diapers, and then literally,
Yeah.
my
Doodling and
parents saw
everything.
something, and for Christmas, birthdays, I got tons of paper, anything I wanted. I used to paint, painted and sculpted and so forth. So it's been um, part of my existence forever. Prior to here, I lived in Boulder, and in my last summer there was a guy from Israel doing it, and he said, "You should do this."
Yeah.
So on July 4th at 7 p.m., I marched myself down to the Boulder Mall, which is like Mardi Gras in
Oh
the
yeah,
summertime.
Pearl Street Mall,
It's
right
like
there.
pop in place. And I was working at nighttime, and I went with the intention of doing portraits and caricatures because I just want to be busy. And the caricature thing obviously won out. There was more of a market for
Yeah.
it. And
And it's
so,
quick,
and it's quick,
and they can come back year after year. If you do a portrait, that might just stay on the wall forever,
yeah,
kind of
yeah,
thing. How
yeah.
long does it take you? Okay, so when we see a line like we saw on Tuesday night, how long does it take you to do
Yeah.
someone?
It really varies. I mean, if I get somebody, I like to say, with strong features like a Groucho Marx, and you can just go in there with the eyebrows and like boom, bada boom, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then some people are more finesse and so forth, nuanced, but and it depends on the line too. This summer, last winter I was crazy busy, and this summer, with the exception of a couple days, I get there and there are 5, 6, 10 people waiting for me, and it's like, and
When he
it's
arrives.
so it's a challenge to pace it because I want to give everybody the same
Yeah.
experience.
Yeah.
So, but I found ways of making that happen too. But roughly, it's about 5, 6 minutes a person.
Okay. All
You
right.
know.
Well, if you want to check it out, if you want to get your own, and I love how they have the Beaver Creek Resort down on the corner, so it's a great souvenir as well. You can get one. You can watch the kids grow year after year with these caricatures. You're at Beaver Creek how often?
Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday from 4 to 6, and I'm down by the art gallery road. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, right off the
Up by the
rake.
Iceland.
Yeah, right by where the live music is, Billy Doran's Fossil Posse. You're gonna find them there.
It's
Okay.
my office.
Yes, that is. You've got a nice office. Thanks
I
for
do.
welcoming us into your office and seeing some of the cool work. Hey Meredith, have you ever had a caricature done of yourself? Has Ken ever drawn you?
I was just gonna say I want one, so I gotta go up to Beaver Creek and get one for myself. I feel like you just have to have it. It's a trip treat.
So,
It's an iconic piece that you can keep forever, like we said. So we just so much appreciate your work, Ken, and keep doing what you're doing and
thank you.
bringing smiles to faces and paper. So we're gonna take a quick